what are the dangers of activating the Merkaba, and why you should be careful when you work with the Merkaba. The Merkaba, one of the most powerful, secretive, sacred geometry symbols ever known to mankind, is a one-of-a-kind symbol. Now, sacred geometry symbols are a category of symbols that quite simply have a geometric formation and also have sacred properties. There are a multitude of symbols that belong to this category, each one with a specific purpose. They are used as a tool to access energies, to access within and access portals of other dimensions. Okay. So among a whole lot of symbols like the flower of life, Metatron's cube, like the yantras from the Vedic times, like the Surya yantra, the Shri yantra, etc., each of these have a specific purpose. Okay. Now, this symbol has a specific purpose like the others, but the purpose of this symbol is to reach, access higher dimensional realms beyond the physical dimension. So, most sacred geometry symbols have a gateway. They are a gateway to specific portals. Now, there are certain symbols, for example, the flower of life, which is like, you have seen the flower of life. It is a circular, spherical shape, right? So the flower of life is meant to be, let's say, the mother of all symbols, and it is open for access to everybody, whereas this symbol is not. So it is said, if you actually look at the form of a flower of life, it is spherical. So when you just visualize yourself playing with an object, which is, visualize yourself like a child, and now you've been given various things to play. One of the things is a sphere, like the flower of life. Now when you give a baby a sphere, what will the baby do? It can play with it, it cannot harm itself because it has no sharp edges. It cannot cut the baby. It will just be a round thing which can be rolled, etc. Play with. But when you look at this symbol, it has got very sharp edges and apexes at various points. So just giving you a very simple layman's language of how symbols mean and how they work with you. When you see something like this as a physical form and you give it to the hands of a child, then you can be sure that it possibly can hurt itself, right? Just simply looking at it. Likewise, in a similar fashion, this symbol was meant to be for those who have traveled on the path of the spiritual quest or mystical quest or quest for seeking information, accessing other dimensions. They have gone through various stages of understanding how to navigate in these spaces, and then when they are ready, this symbol was handed over to you so you could work with it and use it, because this is meant for travel in other dimensions. Now, why is it dangerous for everyone to actually access it and travel in other dimensions? It is quite simply like this. It is like a child. You don't give a knife. A knife is a precise, finely crafted instrument that can do things, can cut through things. So you don't hand a knife to a child to play with because it can hurt itself. So a person who is just homebound and very living in only in this physical dimension hasn't extended himself into understanding the dimension of energy, of light beyond this dimension, and they try to access the Merkaba, it is like you are hitting an electric fence. Yes, quite literally, the ascended masters have put a lock and key on this symbol. So people who are not yet ready to touch it, to access it, to work with it, Okay, when they approach it, it gives them a jolt of current. It's like an invisible electric fence, and when you go closer to this symbol, it will just shock you. So I have had many instances, many recollections of people who work with the Merkaba speaking of this, that when they by chance start to get too curious and pick it up without being adequately prepared, then they start to have many accidents, untoward incidents, scary things happen to them, etc., etc., etc. Why? Because when we start to navigate in dimensions beyond the physical dimensions, we need to know how, why, what we are seeking. We need to start from the right space. We need to know the guidelines of how to operate in that space. Like we have learned guidelines to operate in the roadways, in the railways, in our physical space. A child is taught how to traffic rules before it's let off by itself to go on the street, right? So we will know where to walk, what are the rules, the guidelines. If you do not know, then you could hurt yourself. Exactly in that manner, when we start to navigate in spaces beyond the three-dimensional space, then we need to go approach it one step at a time, understand and move forward till we come to a stage of knowing how to operate there. So the Merkaba is also known as the vehicle of light. So it is like a vehicle used for interdimensional travel. So when you sit in a, it's like the Lamborghini or the Ferrari of cars. It's like that kind of a high speed, high integrity vehicle when you start your travels in the interdimensional space. So before you get into a race machine, you better know how to drive. It's as simple as that. Exactly why our ancient ascended masters have put a lock around the Merkaba. But things are not what they seem, really, because the Merkaba has been held by very few in the past through time. Okay? But it has come into the hands of a few more and a few more as time progressed. And at key times in human civilization, when human civilization needed to ascend from one level of consciousness to the next, sacred geometry symbols and the Merkaba have come into prominence and play, especially during the epochs of the Mesopotamian civilization, the Egyptian civilization, the Greek civilization. This symbology was pretty prominent and it was used by select few, but now there is a big change that humankind is experiencing in our evolution of consciousness. We call it what is called as the conscious revolution, conscious evolution, where human beings are moving from one-dimensional experience to suddenly realizing they are creatures and beings which are multi-dimensional beings and have access to all dimensions. So we're moving there as a collective movement. Hence, right now, this symbol is slowly popping up into public awareness and more people are able to access this. I don't mean to say that this symbol should never be touched by anybody. What I mean by this expression of the idea that it is dangerous and not for everybody is this, that when you go close to it and start to work with the Merkaba, and if you have jolts and incidents that start to happen which are unexplained and negative in nature, you know that now probably is not the best time for you to work with the Merkaba, and it is starting to show you signs that back off, give it some time, come back to me after a while and do your quest with other symbols, gateway symbols first. Now, when we speak of sacred geometry symbols are like gateway portals, a bridge between the physical and the metaphysical dimension. They are a bridge connecting it. So as you walk into the other realms, there are many other symbols you will encounter.